Portions of Aqua Kids have been produced with the cooperation of the National Estuarine Research Reserve System.
So, ready to make a difference? Building a better planet starts with you.
Aqua Kids, traveling around the world, going where we've never been before, having fun and so much more, learning from our friends of the sea, saving them is up to you and me. Aqua Kids.
As we continue our Great Lakes adventure, we are here in the city of Superior on Lake Superior at a stormwater retention pond.
We're here to see how this place deals with stormwater runoff.
Sounds great, guys. Let's get going.
Hey.
Hi,
Hi,
guys.
Kristen.
Nice to see you.
Good to see you.
Thanks
Hey.
for coming out.
Of course. So, how did all this water get here?
Well, it's by plan. So throughout the area over there, we have a series of ditches and storm sewer systems that are connected, and they bring all the water that drains in about over 250 acres over that way into the pond, into a diversion chamber.
So, what's the advantage of this process instead of having all the stormwater go directly into Lake Superior?
Well, by having the water come through this retention pond, what happens is a natural process. The dirt that you find on the streets actually adheres to pollution, like pieces of copper from brakes or leaking gas. It goes to the sediment like a magnet almost. And so the sediment that comes through here, the water slows way down, and through natural process it settles down to the bottom of the pond, so that the water that goes out over the end and actually to the waterways doesn't have any of that in it.
So does all the water in the source area come here?
Well, it all comes here, but not all of it goes through the full pond. What happens is it goes into a diversion chamber, and there's a weir wall in there. So most of the water comes through the first part, and it goes into the main pond. Once the water level or a bigger rain event comes through, it starts going over the weir wall, and it goes into what's called a high capacity overflow channel, which is on this near side. You can see there's some cattails growing in there. So that bypasses, it still gets some vegetated treatment, but it pretty much bypasses the main pond. And we do that by design because most of the pollutant you will find coming off of streets comes within that first inch. If you think about if you have a dirty plate with a bunch of sand on it, you spray water on it, most of it comes off right away in that first little bit. The same thing happens with our streets and our stormwater management. So when we get to a certain level, we just have that cleaner water go around and go out because it doesn't really need the full treatment of the pond.
And the pond cleans the water?
Yep, by natural processes, the sediment, which is what the pollution sticks to, kind of like magnets, that settles out over time because the water goes so slow and it has enough time. It just sits at the bottom, and so then every once in a while we'll come in through and clean it out, which is what we're going to be working on. Here's the diversion chamber with the weir wall right over here, but I'll have to open it up before we can see what's inside.
All right.
Okay.
All right, watch your toes.
Okay.
All right, if you guys want to come over this way, around, and you look down, you can see what I was talking about. On the one side, there's a great big pipe. That's where all the water comes in from all of the source area. Then there's a wall, so you can see when the water comes in, if there's not much, all of it's going to be directed to the little pipe, and that brings it to the pond. Once it gets high enough, it's about 2 feet tall, to go over the wheel wall, then it goes over into the ginormous pipe on the left, which is the high capacity overflow.
That's pretty cool.
It looks so amazing.
So, how do you drain the pond and get all the water out?
It's a good question. So what we end up having to do is we put a ball that we inflate into that little pipe so that it prevents any water from going into the pond. Then if any water comes while we're trying to draw it down, it'll go out and go around. Then on the very other end of the pond, at the outlet structure, there's a valve. So we take a big long pole and we put it on and we open up the valve, which is connected to a pipe in the actual pond area itself. It opens the valve and lets the water draw down by gravity out and out into the outlet. Then there also is a forebay. We have to pump that manually around, and so we'll have a generated pump that'll come through the forebay and bring that out into the high capacity channel as well.
We'll have more stormwater management on our Great Lakes adventure when we return.
Now it's time for Aqua Quiz with your host, Drew Cruz.
I'm your host, Drew Cruz, and it's time to test your knowledge with another Aqua Quiz. Lake Superior is the largest freshwater lake in the world. 1 inch of its surface water is equal to 553 billion gallons. Superior is the coldest and deepest of all the Great Lakes. Do you know the deepest depth of the greatest of the Great Lakes? Is it A, 850 feet, B, 1,100 feet, C, 1,333 feet, or D, 1,430 feet? I'll have the in-depth answer after the break. In-depth answer, not funny. Welcome back. Do you know the deepest depth of Lake Superior? The answer is C, 1,333 feet. Superior's average depth is 489 feet and boasts a total shoreline of 2,980 miles and an average water temperature of 40 degrees. Whoa, that's really cold. We'll have another chilling aqua quiz next week. Wow, I really just said that. Welcome back to Aqua Kids.
As we continue our Great Lakes adventure,
We're here at Miller Creek, which happens to be Duluth's 4th largest watershed.
today we are going to learn about illicit discharges, the problems they cause, and how we can mitigate the effects.
Let's meet up with Todd and find out more.
Selena, what's that funny thing on your head? Do you think you're Wonder Woman?
Yeah, I am. Hey.
Hi. Hey, Todd.
Hey.
Hello.
So, why is Miller Creek so important?
Miller Creek's one of our trout streams. We have 16 of them in Duluth, and it's an urban stream that has active populations of trout breeding, so they're self-supporting, and it's a great stream that we want to protect.
Trout and a culvert going under the city?
Yeah, our trout travel from one reach of the stream to the other, and if we have a culvert, we want to provide fish passage so that they can travel through their, let's say, natural habitat, which to these trout happens to be part of the tunnel.
So what are we going to be doing today?
We're going to put a plug into an old storm sewer that has oil contaminants coming into the stream, and we want to seal those oil contaminants into the ground so they don't come into the stream and affect the trout populations.
Okay. It looks a little scary in there. Is it safe?
With proper precautions and air monitoring, it'll be very safe.
So the oil that you had mentioned coming out of the pipes and into this water, is that what the illicit discharge is?
Yes, and the illicit discharge is actually anything other than stormwater that gets into our trout streams.
And that would be things like...
Obviously the oil that we're going to see today, grass clippings, leaves, sand, any sort of non-stormwater material. Pop cans, trash, garbage, anything like that would be considered an illicit discharge.
Does Duluth have many trout streams?
Yes, we have 16 designated trout streams within our boundaries. So based on our size, we have a lot of clean, fresh, clean water that's coming through the city that the trout can live in.
So Todd, why do the trout live in the tunnel?
The trout are going to live in the water. They're going to travel through the tunnel to the habitat above it and below it. And what we've done as a city is provided passage for the fish in there. So there's channel and rock so they can rest. But they do live in the tunnel. It's cold water. It's shaded so it stays cooler than some of the other areas. And Miller Creek has a low base flow. So by being in the tunnel, they've provided themselves with enough water to live, plus the cooler temperatures which they prefer.
Why are trout important to the area?
They've been here a long time. They were here at the turn of the century, long before people came here. Trout are a great fish species. They're resilient. We have a pretty significant population of people that want to fish them and recreate and be able to see them. So they're just an important resource to the community that we can highlight and provide to the community.
All right, so what's our next step?
Let's go in and take a look around.
All right. All right, it's time to put our headlights on.
All right, go ahead. You guys look super cute.
How do I look?
Good. Careful not to fall. Oh gosh. Oh. Okay. Got it?
All right,
Wow.
as we come in, we'll bring in the plug in and we'll
Goodness.
find our storm sewer and we'll have to clean out the bottom, make sure the plug can go in.
Okay.
And it'll be secure. We're gonna have to do that right up here. And we'll use the shovel to smooth the material out of the bottom of the pipe and we'll just slide that back in.
All right.
All right?
Okay.
Yep, right underneath the green line there. Somebody will have to grab this. All right, now that's a 32-inch cast in place concrete pipe that was cast into the sidewall of the tunnel. What we want to do is clean the sediment out from the bottom so when the plug gets put in there it can seal entirely and that'll seal the contaminants inside the pipe until we can design a project to clean them all up.
So how again does the plug work?
The plug will work by air. So we'll put it in, we'll just blow it up with air, and it's essentially just going to blow up to the sidewalls, and it'll seal those sidewalls. And then we can do is we can monitor the air in that plug to make sure that it's sealed over time.
And this should last for about a year?
Yes, within a year or so we'll be able to have a project designed, permitted, and funded to be able to actually seal that wall permanently.
So this is to keep all the contaminants out, right?
That's correct. We want to seal that contaminant inside the pipe until we can have a project to clean it all up. All right, we're going to bring the plug over here. You can see the size of it. We want to take the shovel and want to make sure that the bottom is clear so that when we put it in there and the plug blows up, that it can seal entirely inside the pipe. Okay, let's take the shovel, make sure there's nothing in the bottom debris-wise, and then we'll slide the plug in there. All right, now as you put the shovel in there, you'll be able to feel the sidewalls and then the bottom.
Oh, yeah.
And scoop in there, and if there's nothing in the bottom, we'll move the shovel in and just continue in there for about 3 feet or so. All right, how far into the pipe is that sediment?
It's a little more than 3 feet.
Okay, I think we should be okay. The plug is only going to go in about 3 feet, so we should be good there.
As I disturb the sediment, you can kind of see the oil sheen coming off the top.
And you can smell it.
And that's the illicit discharge that we want to seal inside that pipe. Once that's clean, we'll pull the shovel out, and then we'll slide that plug. We'll have to push it down into the water and slide it inside the pipe.
Here you go, Selena.
Thank you.
Just gonna get this out of the way.
Okay.
Perfect. Yep, we're just gonna push that down in and yep, just keep pushing it down. It'll float inside, and we'll just push it right in. It goes in a little bit of an angle.
You got it. There we go.
All right, now that it's in the pipe, what we want to do is we want to take the chains and hook those onto the sides. And what that'll do is if the plug lets loose, or for whatever reason it deflates, we don't want it to go downstream and lose it. We'll just contain it right here. So we've got chains that'll secure it, and we can hook those up. All right, if the chains are hooked up, what we can do is we'll start to air the plug up, and we'll see if we can seal her up.
All right.
All right, let's seal it up. Yep, that's sealed.
Excellent. We wanted to seal that pipe, keep the contaminants in it and out of the stream.
Our Great Lake adventure will continue. We'll be right back.
When you have a great natural resource like Lake Superior, one of the best ways to enjoy what it has to offer is water sports like sailing. The Aqua Kids set sail aboard the Satori and the Golden Draft to join in the Duluth Field Club's weekly Wednesday night races. Both of these cruising sailboats race in their respective heats on the beautiful Lake Superior. The standings of the sailboats in the races were to be ranked nationally along with other Wednesday night sailing races held across the country. Although the wind died down by the end of the night and the races were called, the Aqua Kids enjoyed sailing on Lake Superior, the largest and cleanest of all the Great Lakes. Now, back to the show.
Welcome back to Aqua Kids.
We're back at the retention pond, and as you can see, it has been drained. Christy, what are we going to do next now?
Well, next we're gonna try to determine how much sediment we've gotten in the pond over the last 10 years.
Is that what this equipment is for?
Exactly. I'm gonna let Dusty talk to you about how this equipment works.
All right.
What this is a total station, and what it's going to be doing is telling me the elevations on the berm in the middle of the pond over there based upon 2 points that I have entered in to the machine. And what it's going to be doing is projecting a laser beam to the reflector and then calculating the elevation based upon that.
So could you explain that again in a little simpler terms?
Right, so what I'll be doing is looking through the lens here
Okay.
and aiming it at the reflector where Christy will be over there.
Okay.
It'll be shooting a laser beam at the reflector, hitting the reflector,
Okay.
and then it'll tell me the elevation at that point where Christy's standing.
Wow.
All right, Christy, let's get started.
Let's do it.
All right.
All right, let's get out here to get our first shot.
Now let's take the shot, and we've got an elevation of roughly 652 feet, and what I'm going to do next is wave them off so we can go to the next spot.
Good.
All right, that's our signal. Let's move to the next spot.
Okay.
took the shot, and the elevation was roughly 651 feet, so we lost approximately a foot of soil on the berm in the middle of the pond.
All right, they got their point. Let's move over.
Okay.
We got an elevation there of roughly 650 feet.
Okay, so what does all this information mean?
So the information we collected here today, I will take back to the office and examine it more closely, and dependent upon the elevations that we collected here today and the original construction of the pond, we may need to do some excavation to remove some sediment at the bottom of the pond.
Okay.
Hey, girls. So you've heard of dirty jobs? I've got a
Yes.
good one for you.
Cool.
Are you ready?
Let's do it.
All right, I'm gonna get you hooked up with a couple garbage bags and some grabbers, and we're gonna go in here and we're gonna clean up all the trash that's come through here in the rain events.
All right, let's do it. Let's get dirty.
Let's go. Yep, we'll just go right down in here, and any garbage that you find, grab it and pick it up.
As their little adventure continues, our big adventure will be right back.
In the early 1990s, freshwater Siamese crocodiles were assumed to be extinct in the wild. However, in 2000, small populations of them were discovered on the Mekong River basin and in some Cambodian wetlands. Through considerable conservation efforts, including breed and release programs and growing awareness, this reptile's numbers have increased to about 250 in the wild. Feasting primarily on fish, these large reptiles can grow up to 13 feet long and weigh close to 800 pounds. Overhunting and habitat degradation through damming are the reasons why this amazing animal are still endangered. Find out what you can do for the Siamese crocodile and other apex predators on our website.
Hi, this is Selena with Eco Defenders. On today's episode, we're speaking with Luke, a volunteer for the Ian Somerhalder Foundation. Hi, Luke.
Hi.
Who is Ian Somerhalder, and what is the Ian Somerhalder Foundation?
He is an activist and actor. Right now you can watch him on The Vampire Diaries. ISF is a non-profit and are all over the world. ISF's mission is to empower, educate, and collaborate with people and projects to positively impact the planet and its creatures.
Why was the organization created?
ISF was created because of our founder and president, Ian, grew up in Louisiana and was seriously affected by the BP oil spill in 2010. Ian was heartbroken to see his animals and homeland destroyed. So, Ian started ISF.
How long have you been working with ISF, and why did you first get involved?
I first heard of ISF from my mom 2 years ago when I helped her with some ISF campaigns. Then I became a mobster last year. A mobster is a kid volunteer with ISF.
We hear you don't like plastic straws. Why? And what does ISF do about that?
Plastic straws might be small, but they are creating a huge problem. They are used once, then thrown away, and they end up in the ocean, and birds and other animals eat it. And it's so easy to prevent. This is the ISF Special Edition One World glass straw. The company Strawsome donates $7 to ISF straw purchase.
What programs have you specifically volunteered for?
Ian does a lot of fan conventions, and ISF goes too. Last October, I helped at the ISF booth in Boston. One of my favorite parts is meeting people from across the world and working with them to help the environment and animals. Makes me feel like I'm making a difference and people care. We can all make a difference, no matter how old you are.
This is Selena with Eco Defenders. We just spoke with Luke, volunteer for the Ian Somerhalder Foundation. Now back to Aqua Kids.
Welcome back to Aqua Kids.
Earlier in the show, we asked where the water comes from in the retention basin, and now we get to see it.
Yeah, so I had mentioned that there's two different ways that water gets to the pond, either through swales and pipes or inlets and pipes. So right here on this intersection, we have a few different examples of what a swale might look like. This one over here is a little deeper, the one over there is a little shallower, but they all function the same. Water goes off the road, through the grass, through the swale, and into a pipe. The pipe goes underground and goes to the pond, which you can almost see right through the trees.
Christy, we want to help you out. How can we help out?
Well, as you can see, Lily and Andrew have already started, and what we're doing is we're painting a message with a stencil next to the inlets so that people know that the water that goes in there doesn't go to a treatment plant, it goes right out to a river. In this instance, it goes to a pond, but it's pretty much the same. It doesn't go through a treatment plant, and we want people to know that.
Have you seen some results by doing this?
I think so. There are times where we can find what we call illicit discharge, where people are dumping things down the drains that don't have messages, but we typically don't find any of that kind of discharge or people doing that kind of activity with the drains that have the message next to them.
Okay. Wow, we did it. Well, that's it for today's Great Lake Adventure. And now we know one of the ways the City of Superior handles their stormwater. But it's really up to the people in the communities to make sure that the right thing goes down the drain. And we'll see you next time on Aqua Kids.
Having the Aqua Kids here is great. Their mission, along with ours, is very similar. We're trying to spread the word about water quality, and taking care of the environment. And some of the things that we're doing are very similar to what they're doing, and it's all trying to raise a new generation to appreciate and take care of the environment.